So I have to know, how many of you have actually gotten much done on that list of things that you said, gosh, if I ever had time, I'd do? Not too much? Me neither. Don't worry. No pressure. I think that what we find is that we have a tendency to be human doings, not human beings. And especially at a time like this, where Facebook is filled with, hey, do cleaning this closet on Monday and clean this on Tuesday, and then make an amazing video for your kids on Wednesday, and you're like, I can't get off the couch. You know, that's okay. Meet yourself where you are. Meet yourself where you are. Now, I'll let you in on a secret. Here at A.R.E, there is this woman named Allison, and she is in charge of bringing you all this fabulous stuff. She's like head of conference. And so she is the one that comes up with many of the amazing titles for our programs. So originally, I had programmed this, I just gave her a title because I know she's going to fix it and make it sound fabulous. Originally, it was Staying Centered when the World is Upside Down. And she said, you know, I've been thinking about resilience. So why don't we call this spiritual resilience? And I said, oh, I love that, because I always love Allison's titles. Anyway, so I thought, oh, I better talk about resilience. So we just came up with this title like 2 days ago. So I'm adding it in. So I looked up what the definition of resilience was, and it's a noun. And it's the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, a kind of a toughness. But then I looked at number 2, the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, like elasticity. And I thought, that's what we need, to be able to spring back into shape. You know, I talk in these talks a lot about my mom. She's 92. Her memory is pretty much gone. She knows who we are, you know, but she will walk from one room to the other and forget that she already drank her coffee, you know, things like that. So she's happy, right? She's happy. She lives in the moment. The last moment she doesn't remember. So she may have been frustrated 10 minutes ago that she couldn't go to group exercise, because, you know, she's 92, everybody's kind of stuck in their rooms in her senior living place. So she might be frustrated 10 minutes ago, but now she's in the present. She's watching Dr. Oz. That frustration is gone. She doesn't remember it. She's resilient, like a piece of elastic. She gets pulled out into something that's stressful, and then she snaps back into the present moment like an elastic band. But what happens to us? We get pulled into that past situation or pulled into the present, and we stay there. And we get stretched out. Or could I say, we get stressed out. And we lose our center. So today we're going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to talk about how to stay centered. We're going to talk about how to release stress, how to minimize fear, how to protect your energy, support your body, and stay connected. Now, to stay centered, and we're going to talk about all of these individually, but we need to breathe and relax. You are going to find that I'm going to talk about breathing over and over again. Why? Because A, the coronavirus, there we go, the coronavirus is a respiratory. So the more that we can keep our lungs strong, the better we'll be. And deep breathing does that. But also we need to relax. Because stress hormones, including cortisone, they delete our immune system. They damper our immune system, and so relaxing. But there's something called aligning, which I also call centering. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to learn about grounding. And we're going to open our heart, because I think what happens is when we're stressed or when we're in struggle, we tend to close in our energy, contract our energy, and we close down our heart, especially when we're not allowed to hug our children or go visit mom, right? It hurts our heart, and so we close down, and we don't want to do that. So let's talk about them individually. Breathe and relax, right? Now, you can go to the Casey.org website, put in meditation. There'll come up probably a John Van Auken video, and he'll teach you how to do the nose breathing, right? Casey had a specific nose breathing. But any kind of breathing exercise is good. So what if we were to do a breath where we, maybe instead of sitting like a pretzel, we're washing our hands and we're breathing. Breathe in, deep breath, exhale, deep breath, right? We're doing breathing with our breathing exercises while we're washing our hands, deep breathing. But what about relaxing? I love the idea of taking a long bath, and I have a fabulous idea for baths. If you put some Epsom salt, some kosher salt, you can use expensive sea salt, but kosher salt's sea salt, just FYI, and some baking soda, and then maybe a little aromatherapy. In your hot bath, it's just going to melt the stress away. So the goal with breathe and relax is to do it more than one time a day. You know, we may think, okay, now's my break. Let's say in our traditional work world, we had a 15-minute break in the morning, and then we had lunch, then we have a 15-minute break in the afternoon. I doubt many people actually have that schedule in real life, but that's what we're supposed to have. But many of you are working from home, or maybe you're just stuck at home. And so think throughout the day, let me breathe. And that's why I like attaching breathing and relaxing to something you have to do multiple times a day. It doesn't have to be washing your hands. Maybe you're using prayer, maybe that's your prayer time when you wash your hands. But I'm sure you're thinking about going to the refrigerator, or maybe a commercial comes on TV. And maybe you do your deep breathing and relaxing then. So aligning. I love these pictures. When you look at a kangaroo, right, he's got a stance, or a football player, or this little prairie dog, I think that is. They've got a stance. You know, their legs are slightly apart. And what does it do? It grounds you. The football player is getting into a stance so he can throw that football, because he'll have more power in his upper body if the lower body is grounded and stanced. And so when we center, I want you to imagine you're that kangaroo or you're that football player. Put your legs slightly apart, and then imagine there's a string going from your top of your head up to God. Not like a marionette, that would make us feel controlled. We wouldn't like that, right? But it's like you're connected to God. That brings your head up tall and straight. And you're aligned here. And then imagine that your feet are connected to Mother Earth, like a tree, right? And so when we are aligned, we breathe. That's what I mean by centered. Nothing is going to knock you off center. Nothing is going to be able to take you away. But we're aligned. Our chakras are aligned. Our sushumna is aligned. Don't worry if you don't know what that is, but it basically is what connects your chakras. Your spinal column is aligned. And your head is aligned with your feet. You are centered. And so when you come to a time where you're feeling like this, oh, I don't know if I can do that, think of the kangaroo. Align yourself with your head tall. Allow your connection to the divine, allow your connection to Mother Earth. I promise it'll help. Grounding. I always use a tree. I don't care if I'm going to talk about a tree grounding practice or not, because a tree gives you the idea. But I want you to imagine that you have a cord running through your chakras from the top of your head, down, plumb down the middle, deep into the earth. And imagine that cord continues down to the center of the earth, and Mother Earth says, I've got you. But just like one of those dog leashes where you can spread it out far, you can go wherever you need. But you know, right? You know, Mother Earth's got you. She's got a hold of you. She's going to protect you. She's going to nurture you. Mother Earth's got you. So another grounding exercise is imagining that cord, as I said, I'm just repeating, going down from the base chakra, down into the earth, and Mother Earth lovingly holds on to it. But just like a loving mother, she lets you go where you need, but she's always there to protect you. It's a fabulous grounding visual. Opening your heart. I'm going to talk about this first before we actually do it. But I want you to imagine that your heart is like a flower, your heart chakra. And just like a flower, during the day it opens up, but at night it closes down. Very often it closes down because the temperature changes, right? Closes down because the temperature changes. So it protects itself. There's times where we can be wide open with our heart, when we feel safe and comfortable, when we're with loved ones, when we're in our supportive home or environment. And if you don't have a supportive home, my goodness, find a supportive environment, even if you're at the lake in a car, 6 feet away from everybody else. You're a lake in a car. But when you feel safe, I want you to practice this opening. Now I'm going to lead you through it now. So I want you to imagine that your heart is opening like a flower bud, stretching open, allowing not only love for yourself, but love for the others. And then, I'm not going to reverse it here, but imagine that we just ask God to return your heart chakra to the opening that's perfect for you right now. But sometimes having that visual is helpful of an opening flower. An open chakra not only allows us to help others, but it allows us to help ourselves. It opens us up for receiving love as much as it allows us to give love. And so if you're a giver, maybe try this and allow yourself to receive. It's scary at first. It's scary at first. Now there's a fabulous resource, and I believe we're going to put a link on the page somewhere that you got for this, for Edgar Cayce on overcoming fears and anxiety. It's so important to release that stress and those fears. Releasing them on both a mental and emotional level. Sometimes we can wake up and feel afraid or feel stressed and not even know why. You know, it's a malaise, I think they call it. You know, when you're like, oh, I don't know, just not feeling it today. We don't always have to know why. We don't have to blame everything on this coronavirus. I'm sure some of us were feeling a little malaise before, and some may after. But let's talk about ways. We'll start with mental. Acknowledge. Sometimes we just have to say, this is what it is. Krishnamurti says one of the most strong ways to develop spiritually is to see the world as it is instead of how we want it to be, right? I want it to be rainbows and butterflies, but right now, well, actually with less cars, it probably is a little more rainbows and butterflies, but you know what I mean. Right now, things aren't perfect. And in order to be less stressed or fearful mentally, we well, we don't have to do anything. I recommend you acknowledge your given situation. It doesn't mean you have to go into negativity. It doesn't mean you have to go into fear, but acknowledge what stinks. But also acknowledge what's good. Like I said, less smog. Yeah, you've been seeing good news. The guy that was on Office, his first name is John, his last name I can't pronounce. He was on that TV show, The Office, but he also is, he's an actor. He's doing a YouTube on good news. It's just so cute. If you know the guy's name, you can Google it. John something, begins with a K. So, but acknowledge that these are tough times. These are not normal. Acknowledge I do not have control about anything but my own self, and sometimes not even that very good. Just acknowledge it. Because the energy it takes to pretend everything's okay is not worth it. If you could use that energy that you're putting into denial into acceptance, which we'll talk about next, it's a much better use of time. And so acceptance. Accept that this is what it is. Just accept it. Don't fight it. Doesn't mean that there aren't things that you can do, and we're going to talk about those, but stop fighting. Stop fighting it. Just accept it. And then educate yourself. Now, here's a tricky situation. There's educating and over-educating. By educating yourself, that may be that you check in with responsible websites. Facebook is not one of them, but responsible websites like the CDC or whoever you feel responsible, right? So this is an issue. Who I feel is a respectable website, you may not feel is a respectable website. So you have to go by your own inner guidance. But get educated, but not obsessively educated, because too much information is not helpful, right? Too much information can feed the fears. Let's not feed those fears. So get enough education so that you feel like you know what's going on, but then that's enough, right? Now discern. Discernment is different than judgment. Judgment says, I don't like this, so it's bad. Or I don't like that person, so they're bad. I don't like this disease, so it's bad, right? I don't like. That's judgment. Discernment is more recognizing, this isn't healthy for me. This person isn't healthy for me. I don't have to judge them bad, but I can recognize that they're not healthy for me. This person's Facebook feed makes me fearful. I don't have to say they're a bad person. I don't have to say they're bad. What I have to recognize, though, is it's okay to discern that it's not healthy for me. How do I discern? How do I do that? Well, I'm going to give you a way. I think you discern through your physical body. For me, I mean, everybody discerns differently. Whether you discern through your heart or it's going to be a feeling. So I'm going to give you this way to test how you know what's truth for you. It is true that I do not like Brussels sprouts. It is true that I love ice cream. It is true that I'm afraid of being smothered. I know, must be a past life. I'm afraid of being smothered. So this is what you do. You find what you know is false for you, what you know is true for you, and what you know you're fearful of. And I am not afraid at all of, what am I not afraid of all of? I am not afraid at all of our bird, Tatum. We have a parakeet. So that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so what you do is you say to yourself, I love ice cream. Where do you feel that? I mean, you have to pick what you love, right? Where do you feel that? How does that feel? And then I want you to say, I love Brussels sprouts. Something that you know is false. When I love something, I feel it in my heart. When I'm lying or it's not true, I feel it in my solar plexus, in my gut. And then you say, I hate, I don't like the word hate. I really don't like ice cream. And I feel a tightness. It's a little bit different. I feel a tightness. I really don't like Brussels sprouts. I feel an opening, right? It's a little different than the other. I'm afraid of my bird Tatum. That just feels ridiculous to me. I'm afraid of being smothered. I feel very constricted. Now, then you take it with something you don't know, right? But do something that you can prove to yourself. So you may say, I'm trying to think of something that you might read in the news. Everyone was at the beach today. Feels a little restrictive. Everybody was at the beach yesterday. Feels rather open. So I bet you that there are still people at the beach today. So we can weigh truth and fiction, fact and fiction, through ourself by our own interior reaction. So it's just a tool. But you got to find things you like. Now explore beliefs. What are my beliefs? What are my limited beliefs? Maybe I believe that I'm not strong enough to handle something. Let me tell you a quick story about limiting beliefs. When I first met my husband, we're going back 1997, right? 23 years ago. If someone had said to me, your husband is going to get stage 4 lung and bone cancer and you're going to have to take care of him and do everything, I would have said, I can't do that. And I would have ended the relationship before it started. I would have said, nah, I'm not signing up for that. I can't do that. Well, 2000, my husband got staged. He's okay now. He survived it. I know, he's a walking miracle. He got stage 4 lung and bone cancer, and I had to do everything. And you know what? I did it. I didn't think I could do it, but I did it. And I'm not saying that to say, oh, I'm so great, I did it. What I'm saying is that I would have lost out on a 20-year marriage, hopefully 40-year marriage, 50-year, whatever. Hopefully we keep going. It's going good so far. I would have lost out on that because of a limiting belief that I couldn't handle that. And so when we can recognize when we have limiting beliefs that are increasing our fears and stress, explore them. Are they really true? Because I can guarantee you, you have no clue what you can do until you're faced with it. And we are given amazing strength. Amazing strength. Strength that you can do things that you had no clue you could do. When the situation comes, you'll surprise yourself. So let's explore some of those limiting beliefs, right? Let's look at emotional. So emotional, we want to do things to soothe, relax. I'm going to take each one of these separate. Work with dreams, uplifting books, explore faith. These are all things that came out of that Overcoming Fear and Anxiety book by Hugh Lynn. It's really a great resource. I hope you download it. Soothe. One of the visualizations that I do, especially with people that I feel that have suffered abandonment, and I think we're feeling a little abandoned by whether it's our government or our communities or just our hopes. One of the things that I meditations is I imagine myself being rocked in the arms of God. I just want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you're being rocked. Now maybe it's a different divine figure. Maybe it's Kuan Yin, the mother of compassion. But just allow yourself to be rocked like a babe. Take a deep breath and allow that soothing. That just takes a second, and it just, right? Now, I wouldn't imagine my mom, I love her, as you see, I use her as examples, but she was not a nurturing mother, right? She was a business lady. She was not the nurturing type. If you got sick, you went to dad, you didn't go to mom. So I wouldn't imagine my mom, but if you had a nurturing mom, maybe you'd imagine your mom. Relax. This is different for everyone. I got a gift certificate for the spa, you know, the Casey spa for Christmas. I haven't used it yet. And so I asked someone, who do you think's the best Casey massage? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I don't like full body massage, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love massage. That's so relaxing to me. Everyone is different, so I can't tell you how to relax, right? Relaxing for you may be sit in front of the TV. Relaxing for someone else might be getting exercise. We're allowed to be out right now. Maybe it's going to First National and walking, but making sure you're staying clear of people. Everybody's relax is different. But when we're in a relaxed state, our fight and flight reflexes are reduced. And so it reduces fear and stress. Fear is an important thing. We need fear. We need to know not to walk down that dark alley at night, right? We need fear is healthy. Constant fear, or fear that is based on limited beliefs or ignorance, is not healthy. And it's what we saw on the last slide. Now, Casey said work with dreams. Working with dreams can be amazingly helpful. I've been having dreams lately that my husband and I are going shopping for a new house, and that everything needs a lot of work. And I know that I have a lot of self-judgment going on about what I should or shouldn't do. And remember, we start out that we're not going to should on ourselves, right? We're not going to try to be Facebook perfect. People are just trying to help with those posts. This is what this is, right? I don't expect you to do everything you see on here. Well, it's a 3-part series, you know, there's 3 parts of suggestions of how to help you. But maybe just watching this and knowing that there's people that care is going to be the help versus doing any of the suggestions. And that's okay. But working with dreams helps us to see where our stresses are. And if you don't remember your dreams, that's okay. If you don't remember your dreams, take a 5 or 10 minute hyper meticulous look at your day. And then write it down as if it's a dream. Write down the symbols, the signs, what you see, how you felt, whatever. Could be the drive over here, you know, I got hit 5 stoplights. I mean, I didn't really, but, or maybe I did, I didn't count them, but a hyper look, and then analyze that as a dream. It will be just as effective. So just because we suggest looking at your dreams, and Casey was a big look at your dreams person, if you don't remember your dreams, it's not a big deal. You can just take 5 to 20 minute hyper look at any segment of your life, and it will give you the information. Read uplifting books. I love this, but what's uplifting to me may not be uplifting to you. For me, it's sci-fi and fantasy. That's my thing. And children's literature, right? I love that young teen, oh, let's go on an adventure kind of literature. It's like it gets you away. Like Harry Potter, I love Harry Potter. I love that. Get me out of my world. But for somebody else, uplifting literature may be reading a biography on Abraham Lincoln. Or maybe reading There Is a River on Casey. That's a fabulous book. There's a lot of biographies on Casey. Because mind is the builder. If we want to be stronger in a time of crisis, read about when people were strong in a time of crisis. When you put your mind into it, it will start building your reality. Read uplifting books. And if you can't think of any, ask on Facebook. You'll get plenty of examples. Boy, explore faith. That's a big one. What do you put your faith in? For a long time, I didn't have faith. Many, many, many years growing up, I didn't have faith. And my mother said, just have faith in something. That was her advice, as along with wear face moisturizer. My mother has beautiful skin. So just have faith in something. And I thought, you know what? I can work with that. Because I had faith in myself. I had faith in my own abilities. I had faith in something. And later, my faith in a divine power developed. But you can have faith in more than one thing, right? Faith is not exclusive, it's inclusive. So maybe you have faith in your community, and we're seeing some fabulous things. We're doing in our neighborhood, somebody put on our neighborhood watch Facebook page to put different things in your window. And one of the things was a teddy bear. And so my teddy bear is, I'm 58, right? So my teddy bear is probably 58 years old or just a little under. And so I put Pancake, that's my teddy bear, in the window. And I told everybody, this is Pancake, he's a little old, so don't mind him because he's kind of decrepit teddy bear. And then we put powerful words. And people drive by and they're like, we saw Pancake, It gives you faith in your community. Yesterday, it was somebody's birthday, a young girl's birthday, and so they put on the Facebook page again, drive by so-and-so and beep and yell happy birthday because she's kind of depressed. So we drove by on our way to go to Lidl's and Farm Fresh to get some food. We drove by, happy birthday. So I have faith in my community. I have faith in a higher power. I have faith in my own ability and my own common sense. I have faith in my discernment. What do you have faith in? I'm sure there's a whole list if you think about it. So how do we release that emotional stress? Do things that are soothing. Relax. Check out your dreams. Read. And have faith in something. When fear comes from outside, that's when we have to use some tools. Mindfulness, breath, energetic sunglasses? What does that mean? Well, let's talk about it. Well, first of all, mindfulness, right? When we're mindful of our energy, remember we talked about grounding? I recommend that every morning before you get out, or when you get out of bed, you do a little grounding. I don't care if it's roots, or if it's a cord, or if it's be the tree, whatever your grounding is. But at that same time, check and say, how am I? Ooh, I feel a little stress over here. Ooh, I feel calm. So that you can recognize how you're feeling, and it's never one thing. If you ever feel one thing, you've taken too much of those happy pills. Right? You want to balance. You want to have a balance of feelings. But being mindful of your energy and knowing breath, breathing, and energetic sunglasses. What the heck are they? Okay, so this is how you do energetic sunglasses. Let's say whether you're reading, or you're talking on the phone, or you're in person with somebody, and they are spewing fear, stress, whatever. Negative vibes, whatever it is you don't want, right? Because we use these as in the empath classes. And if you look online, I'm sure you can find a bunch of the empath classes. A lot of these tools are similar. Imagine you've got glasses on or sunglasses. If you're not wearing them, that's okay. But right now, you are with me. You may be looking at the screen, but you are with me right now. Your energy is right here. But I want you to now look as if, and if you have to go get your sunglasses, you can just pause this and keep going, bring it back. But imagine, or your eyelashes, imagine you can see your rims. What it does is it takes the focus from out here to here. And now you are in your own aura, you're in your own space. So whoever you're near, even if there's no space and time in this energy world, even if it's someone on Facebook, you've come back into your energy and you have control over that. But you don't want to live like that. It's called detached. We want to live with a big aura so we can have lots of energy, right? Because our aura brings in our energy. So you don't want to live behind your eyeglasses. But what that allows you to do is just to go, oh, whew, all right, that wasn't mine. And say, what's my energy? And do whatever you need to do, whether it's breathing or any of these techniques, relaxing, soothing, being in the arms of God, whatever this technique is, bringing that to your energy. And then you can go back and re-engage knowing that you're experiencing your energy. What else? Get off Facebook. Now, you hear me talk about Facebook all the time, right? But sometimes we need to snooze people. Well, for Apple, it's snooze. For Android, it's take a break, I think. Turn off the news. Take a walk. Talk to your sensible friend. Low vibes, right? You know what I mean. Low vibrations, low vibration energy, even if it's our own. What do we do? What are some physical things we can do? Well, I have a list here. Crystals. And A.R.E. bookstore is still doing deliveries. They have great crystals. You could call them and say, what are some crystals for dealing with fear, for dealing with low vibe, dealing with whatever, you know? What are some crystals that would be good for that? And they'll ship you off some. And their crystals are, most of the tumbled ones are very reasonable. Could be a piece of jewelry with a crystal in it, or maybe a sacred symbol. Sage or incense. Now, I will tell you the cheapest way to clear or cleanse a room is as if you were saging it, but you don't need sage. Imagine divine light, golden light, white light, whatever works for you. Or you could imagine a divine figure standing in the living room. Imagine that energy, whether it's a figure or light, whatever, radiating throughout the whole house. Cleansing and clearing the whole house. It's your intention, it's your will that makes that active. So you set the intention that as I see all this good vibes going around the house, that is clearing or cleansing the house. But always intend only in the best for the highest, most loving good for all those concerned. Because it's kind of like going into your kids' room and to clean. They don't want you cleaning their room. Well, once they get to a certain age, they don't, you know. And so you want to intend that this light work in a way that's for the highest and most loving good. So there are physical things we can do, although that light work isn't quite physical. But there's also a lot of non-physical options. We talked about grounding. We talked about deep prayer, deep breathing. What about prayer? Why worry when you can pray? Famous Casey quote. You could pray while you're washing your hands for 20 seconds. Meditation. Walking in nature. That's a wonderful one. And maybe you don't live where there's any nature where you can walk. Then maybe walk, put some nature program on your TV or nature sounds on your TV and just walk around the living room. But with intent. I'm connecting with Mother Earth. I'm connecting with Mother Earth. I'm releasing my fear. Mother Earth will take your vibrations that aren't working for you and transmute them and send them back as healing energy. Another thing I find is if you say your name, I am Cindy. It gets you, especially when you're being affected by other people or dealing with low vibes, it gets you back. It's kind of like going behind your eyeglasses. And then using, as I said, the golden or white light for cleansing is incredibly helpful. Now remember, we're human beings, not human doings. And so these are tools to use if you choose. But we don't want to pile any shoulding or guilt or anything on you, right? We've got enough coming from our own self, I would imagine. And so if it helps, you can use these. You'll notice, remember I said in the beginning, I think I warned you, if not I meant to, that we're going to talk a lot about breathing. Let's just try a deep breathing exercise. I want you to just focus on the rise of your chest with your inhalation and the fall of your chest with the exhalation. Focus on the rise of your chest and the fall of your chest. Focus on the sensation of the air going either in your nose or up your mouth, down your throat. And the sound or the sensation of it leaving. Sensation in, and the sound or the sensation leaving. You could do that 100 times a day. Exercise is really important. I am a walker. Well, I wasn't much of even that until more recently, but I find walking is really helpful. But however you exercise. Eat food to support your chakras. What does that mean? We have energy centers and we have foods that feed them. The base chakra, which has to do with vitality, is protein. So if you're feeling low on vitality, have some protein. The food of the second chakra, which is sex and sociability, is water. And so if you're struggling, like all of us huggers are struggling with not having anybody to hug, make sure you're staying well hydrated. Water will feed that. The third chakra is personal will. And the food for that is carbohydrates. So balance your carbohydrates and work on choosing more healthier carbohydrates. But if balance means that if you're eating too many carbohydrates, you'll know it. You'll know it. And I'm not going to should on you. But you may want to look at that and see how can you balance and soothe yourself with a different modality. Maybe a hot bath. The heart chakra is vegetables, and so if you're feeling heartbroken, thinking of all of the people that are suffering, make sure you're eating your vegetables. If you're having trouble speaking your truth, that's the throat chakra, that's fruit. It's a good excuse to have some fruit. But again, it's balance, right? The crown and the third eye are meditation and prayer. We've already suggested that. And wash your hands with intention, moving on to other things you can do with your body. And we've talked about that too. But it's whatever intention you need. Maybe your intention is to ground. Maybe your intention is to pray. Maybe your intention is to breathe. Maybe your intention is to send love to other people. I'm washing my hand and I've got my blessing meditation going out. I'm blessing my mom that I can't see. I'm blessing my kids that live in another state. I'm blessing my friend who's at work while I'm washing my hands. But we got to take care of that mind, right? We're looking for supporting ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. Sometimes that's saying no, or saying yes if you want to. Sometimes it's saying no. Working on boundaries will help you to support your mind. What do boundaries look like? How do we determine a healthy boundary from an unhealthy boundary? This has been a lifelong struggle for me as an empath. I have and a codependent, dependent person. I think I finally can lose that label. But I had a tendency to go to one extreme or the other. It's like, no boundaries, nobody's getting near me. No boundaries, I'm saying no to everything. And I have found that I'm finally getting better at this. My knee-jerk reaction was to just say no. Somebody would suggest anything, I'd be like, no. And then I'd be like, well, I guess I could do that, right? When we are mentally, when we've taken care of ourselves physically, I could have put sleep on that last one. When we've taken care of ourselves physically, whether it's getting enough sleep, making sure we're eating properly, all of those things, breathing and centering and grounding. When we take care of ourselves physically, we have the energy then to go and for our mental, to be able to be stronger in our mental and emotional. So when we can have boundaries that are healthy versus too weak or too strong, it looks like this. Someone makes a suggestion. Let me think about it and get back to you. And you go, you think about it, pros, cons, whatever your process is. How do I feel with that? And then you come back and you say from the heart, I'm not comfortable with that. Or, oh, that would bring me joy. I'm not comfortable with that is the best phrase ever invented, because no one can say, yes, you are, right? Because you said, I'm not comfortable with that. You're not saying, I think that's right or wrong. You're not getting into a discussion. It's like, I'm not comfortable with that. Ask for help. Oh, my goodness. When I was going through that with Dave 20 some odd years ago, and people were coming out of the woodwork offering suggestions, right? Oh, Dave should jump on a trampoline. I've heard that's really good for health. And meanwhile, he had a broken spine. Like, I don't think that was very good for health. Or, oh, you should smoke pot. I heard that's great. He had lung cancer. Like, people mean well. And people would say, Cindy, if you need anything, let me know. But you could tell that they didn't really mean it, right? And I would be almost in tears, because I was a princess before this, pretty much. I mean, when I moved in with Dave, he did a lot of everything, I had been alone for a long time before that, so I was independent. But then when you've got someone helping you out, you get used to it really quick, right? So I was used to it. And so I'd be like almost in tears, because I had to bring in, and we lived upstairs, up a bunch of stairs. I had to bring in all the groceries by myself. And I was like, you know what help I want? Come over and take out the garbage. But people don't want to do that stuff. So we had a friend. We had sulfur water. I don't know if you've ever lived in a place with sulfur water, but it's really gross. We had sulfur water, so you had to drink bottled water. And so we had these 5-gallon jugs. And I was stronger. I was in better shape than I am now, but I was not strong enough to get the 5-gallon jug up and onto where we had it, right? We had it on the counter in this thing. Anyway, it was gorgeous, in this jug. And so a friend would come without asking. He'd come, he would drive like 40 minutes, probably 40 minutes, 45 minutes to get to our house. Because he lived north of the city and we lived south of the city. We were in Syracuse. And he would come, he was a big strapping guy, and he would plunk. It was like nothing, He would put the water up there. He would talk to Dave for a little bit, and he'd leave. That was the most help. That meant the most to us. It was social for Dave, but it was also a gift for me. But you know what? It was a gift for him, because he felt like he was doing something. When my husband was sick, my mother wanted to come visit, and I thought, she really doesn't want to come visit. Remember, she was a workaholic, but she offered. It was one of those where you could tell. God bless her. But she wanted to do something. And so instead, she did prayer squares. The pastor told her, knit prayer squares and pray, right? What if you wanted to do something right now, but you can't for some of the people in the nursing home? Pray for them and knit prayer squares, and then put them together and send lap blankets. Send the lap blankets. My husband got this prayer thing. It was a prayer shawl and then a blanket, and he could feel the energy. It was amazing. What we forget is that people want to help. They usually have their own ideas of how they want to help, and maybe that's not helpful for you. But let them do something. By allowing someone to help you, you are giving them the gift of feeling useful. Right? It's not selfish to ask for help. It's essential to take care of your needs. And you are also giving the gift of allowing a person to help you. And stay connected. We're going to talk about that more. Spirit meditate. Work with affirmations. Pray. I am a channel of blessings. I love that affirmation. I am whole and healthy. A meditation. Let's do a meditation together. A meditation could be let's see, what would a meditation be? Oh, I got a good one. Okay. So just imagine yourself in a place that's safe and calm. Visualize your body healthy. What does a healthy body look like? What does your body look like healthy? Visualize your vibration or know. Don't worry if you can't see it. Imagine, know, or pretend your vibration is high. Oh, that feels good. Know your mind is clear. Know your spirit is connected to your divine source. See or know your body healthy, your vibration high, your mind clear, your spirit connected, all with ease and grace. All with ease and grace. Whew. That feels better, doesn't it? So let's talk about staying connected. When was the last time you wrote a letter? Like literally got a piece of paper out and wrote a letter. My struggles, my handwriting's got so bad that people can't read the letters I write. So every once in a while, if I'm feeling particularly messy, or I don't want to be as meticulous to write so people can read it, I'll type it and then put that in the pretty card. Write a letter. Maybe even an email, but there's something special about getting something in the mail. And you can order stamps online. You don't even have to go out, although they usually have them at a grocery store. And the post office is still open. Write a letter and an email and talk about, not necessarily your fears only, but it's okay to talk about what you're fearful about. Be in integrity with where you are. But then, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? What are some memories that you share with the person that boost you up? Maybe they need to hear those too. Maybe they need to hear those memories. Stay connected outwardly, on an outward level. Socially. Phone, FaceTime, Alexa, Zoom home. Kind of like phone home. It's funny, I love Alexa. We have an Alexa show for my mom because she's not really technical. She knows how to answer the phone. That's not a problem. I could call. But we got her Alexa show, right? And so you can actually see her, and you can drop in on the person, and they don't have to do anything. And it gives them time, in case they're not dressed, although my mother's always dressed. She's good that way. And we have it by her TV. And so we just, all of a sudden we'll be like, Mom, Mom. And she'll be like, oh. And my nieces and nephews from Australia have breakfast with Mom while she's watching her evening TV. I mean, how is that? How amazing is that? We can also check in on her, make sure she's okay. Check in with someone in need. One of the things Casey said is the way to stop worrying is to put your focus on other people, right? When it's all about us, we tend to spiral into that. But when we can spiral out by checking in on others, that's a great thing. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm going to go grocery shopping for the elderly neighbor, although, hey, that's one thing you could do. It could be a phone call. Or it could be leaving maybe them a little letter of saying how much you enjoy their cherry tree that's blossoming right now. You don't have to talk to them. You can just tape it on their door. Dear neighbor. You don't even have to know their name. I don't know your name, but I enjoy being your neighbor, and I love your cherry tree or your gnome in your garden, something, Reaching out is a way to empower our within. Because we have to reach and touch our heart. We have to reach in and touch something about us that is good. And in these times where things are so hard to see the good, we all have good within us. So let's take a look at that. I have to tell you, my cousins, my uncle had 9 children. So I got a lot of cousins on that side of the family. But they're the West Coast cousins, right? My mom had 4 of us, and we live all over the world. But anyway, the West Coast cousins never get to see the East Coast cousins. So they did a virtual happy hour. Now, I wasn't able to be on it, but they did it via Zoom. And everybody had the link. And so for an hour, they chit-chatted, and my sister was like, oh my goodness, so-and-so's son, I forget his name, anyway, he was so charming. Like, we don't even know them, really. We see them every 10 years or 20 years. We're going to play bingo with Mom. We're working it out now. We got her Zoom working, and we have one of her caregivers is willing to come for 45 minutes or an hour so we can all play bingo on Zoom. My mother misses bingo. That was one of her social things. So have a virtual bingo game night, wine party. Connect outwardly. Let us be distanced physically, but not socially. I don't like that term, social distancing. I wish they would call it physical distancing. But how do we stay connected inwardly during this time? Now, we've talked about a few ways, but what about reading a spiritual book? Now, I don't know if you know this, but if you are a member of A.R.E., the library is still functioning. Right? The library is still functioning. Go online and ask them to send you a book. Now, we're going to see this in resources, but you found this talk. There's study online, on-demand classes, some of them free, some of them for pay, not only on edgarcasey.org, but many of the teachers are doing these classes. Now, again, I don't want to shoot on you. You do what you have energy for. But there are advantages now that you would not believe as far as price and availability that have never been there before. This whole thing is opening a whole age of opportunities that just weren't available before. Now, pray or meditate. Like I said, I'm a prayer. Many of the Casey group here are meditators. I like to pray. I like to pray going to bed. It eases my soul. I like to pray driving. Probably eases everybody else because I don't drive quite as aggressively. Prayer isn't only about give me this, give me that. As a matter of fact, I think that's the least thing prayer is for. You can pray for others. What about a prayer of gratitude? Right? We're alive. We're alive in this moment with the opportunity to shine our light so bright that we annoy all those negative people. And then work on your ideals. Ideals are basically the motivating patterns that guide our life. When we want to think about how do we walk our spiritual talk, Casey taught us ideals. Now, if you go to YouTube and put in there Edgar Casey TV, there's many resources on how to do ideals, including a whole hour presentation that I give, but there's many presentations, so you can get a bunch of different people's styles. But working on your ideal helps you to bring all of the things that you know consciously, that your brain knows, into action in your life. Don't forget to give your ideal to yourself. What does that look like? Well, my ideal is kindness. So when I'm kind at home, I do the pots and pans, even though sometimes I leave them for my husband. If I'm kind at work, I may do a presentation or 2 or 3 in a very short amount of time. So maybe that's how I'm kind at work. I work a little harder. If I'm kind around my family, maybe I take a couple breaths before I tell them, or to avoid telling them what I really think, although I love my family. We all have family members that push our buttons. That's the best thing about family. That's how you grow. That's why you chose them. But I need to be kind to myself. I need to bring my ideal inward. Bring it inward. And so how am I being kind to myself? Kindness for myself right now is I work really hard to bring light to others, because that to me fulfills me. That fulfills me, and so in that way I'm being kind to myself. But your ideal, think of the fruits of the Spirit. If you don't know fruits of the Spirit, you can put that in the Edgar Casey page and you'll get a ton. But also you can look at Galatians in the Bible. Fruits of the Spirit are things like love and mercy and kindness and long-suffering. Although long-suffering you have all done. It might be patience. Long-suffering? What do you mean I've done long-suffering? Well, I will tell you. Now, long-suffering to Casey, because remember, Jesus was the Christ was his ideal, so to speak. Long-suffering was Jesus dying on the cross out of love for us, and we are not expecting that from any of you. But long-suffering in your life might be like in my life. I love my Uncle Bill. He's a crotchety, cranky old man. And at my dad's funeral, he was sitting there and his memory is also starting to go. And I thought, I love my Uncle Bill. I should go sit with him. And I thought, that is not going to be pleasant. But this was my long-suffering, right? Out of love, I went and sat with my Uncle Bill, talked to him for about 5-10 minutes. It was out of love. Was not fun. Well, part of it was fun, but you get the idea. We all do long-suffering. It's when we do something out of love that isn't necessarily fun. So our ideals can guide us to know. It's kind of like our spiritual baseline. What would kindness do? It might be my spiritual baseline. It might be my question. But ideals, go on to either the aggregate or Excite and click in ideals, or go to the YouTube. One of the things I find is really helpful in staying centered, being resilient, helping yourself to pop back into the present moment, is being creative. Now you see, people are talking about Anne Frank. She was stuck in for a couple years in a room, so this should be a piece of cake for us, but it's not. It's not a piece of cake. Watch out for those comparisons. They can just make us feel worse. But one of the things that people find fascinating was Anne Frank's diaries. What if we were to create a journal? Maybe not to that extreme, but a journal that kind of talks about how we're feeling. Tell us how it really is. Nobody may read it, but it's allowing you to be creative in writing, in touching the part of you that is tender right now. And in writing, you could write poetry, right? You could write a poem. I can't. I'm not good at that. But I could write my feelings in a journal. Maybe listen to music. What's inspiring? Maybe you can't go. Maybe you like the opera, and you can't go to the opera, but doesn't mean you can't listen to opera. Same thing with watching TV. They have tours of everything. You can tour the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Allow yourself to be inspired. Just because we're at home doesn't mean we have to live an uninspired life. Be inspired through the creativity, the music, the art. However you're inspired. Maybe yours is being inspired by a workout video. Look at that guy go, I'm inspired. I can't do it right now, or maybe that's not where I'm at right now, or maybe I can do a little bit of it. So what about cooking? How is that creative? Well, how many people have been looking at what you got in your pantry lately, right? Be creative in your cooking. How many things that you have that are about to expire can you use in one meal, right? Be creative with your cooking. And I have to tell you, I'm getting sick of the same thing over and over again. So creativity in cooking sounded good to me. And then clean. How is clean creative? Someone once told me that how you clean is how you do your spiritual life. Right? I always thought that was funny. How you clean is how you do your spiritual life. I clean a pile here and I get distracted, and I go over here and I clean something here and then I get distracted. Whereas my husband is very organized. He cleans this and then he cleans this and then he cleans this and then he cleans this. And the two of us, that exactly describes our spiritual life. My spiritual life is a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I'm all over the place, right? If I'm doing one of these talks, I have 5 different books out and 3 different resources and 4 web pages open, I'm all over the place. I pull it all over together in the end, I hope. Whereas he's very methodical. One of the things that you can do, cleaning, again, we're human beings, not human doings. These are just for suggestions, not to add more guilt and responsibility onto your life. So when was the last time you cleaned your creative supplies? I haven't done stamping. I'm not ready to give it up. I'm not giving them up. But I have not done stamping in probably 5 years. I know at least 5 years, so I haven't done it since I moved. So maybe I need to go through, and I am sure a lot of those stamp pads are dead as a duck. Dead as a dead duck, whatever. But most important, let's let go of the shoulds and the shouldn'ts. And let's just have fun. Let's just have fun. We have so many responsibilities, but we also need balance. I know sometimes even though we're stuck at home, there's even less time in the day. Maybe it's kids, maybe it's homeschooling, maybe it's working from home, trying with kids and homeschooling. Maybe it's just the emotional times weighing on you so heavy you don't have outside responsibilities, but that's all you can do right now, is to keep your head above water, and that's what you should be doing. Well, I don't want to should on you, right? Allow yourself to be doing that. Now, I love this suggestion, using your mind. I like creating jars. Now, I do them on my phone, so I don't have an actual jar. Got a candy jar there, but you imagine it's an empty jar. Maybe you're going to make a gratitude jar. And every time you think of something you're grateful for, you're going to put it in a little piece of paper and pop it in the jar. And then when you're feeling really down in the dumps, what do? You pull it out, you pull one of those pieces of paper out and remind yourself of what you're grateful for. Or even better, or maybe as well, a joy jar. What's a joy jar? You write down things that bring you joy. And maybe one color paper are things that bring you joy just in general. And the other are things that bring you joy, but you can't do right now during this time. Make those a different color. And so again, when you're feeling not as joyful as you'd like, pull something out of the joy jar. Don't pull the color of the one you can't do yet. And then when you're done, when all of this is done, or at least done enough that we can get out and about again, pull out those pieces of paper to remind you of what brings you joy and start doing those. Stop putting things off. I love my sister. She has a tendency to save things for good, right? Save things for the good time. We gave her maple syrup. We used to live in central New York and my husband made maple syrup. And it ended up going bad. Thank goodness with maple syrup, you just boil it again and it's good again. But she saved it for when they had something good going on and never ended up eating it because it went bad. Today's the only time, this moment in time is the only time you have. Make this the best moment you have. Don't keep the maple syrup. Have it on your pancakes today. We can also entertain. I have 2 people right now that I've been sending, not every night, I try to do it every night, but when I see something that makes me giggle on Facebook, I just hit send to Messenger, And my friend Angela, she used to be a psychic here at the A.R.E. psychic fairs, and my niece in Philly. And I call them your nightly giggle, right? And every once in a while I'll get, I really needed that back. I said, okay, but if I'm getting annoying, let me know. And they're silly things. One was a picture of a cat, and someone had drawn like a cat roller skating or a cat swimming or a cat doing handstands, and it says, to make your cat look like it's actually doing something, They did that with a fly, too. It was kind of funny. But anyway, just little funny ha-has. My favorite movie, if you're wondering, just in case you're wondering, it's called All of Me. And I highly recommend you find it because it's very funny. It's called All of Me, and it's with Steve and Lily Tomlin. Steve Martin, thank you. Steve Martin. See, I do have other people here. Steve Martin and Lily Tomlin. And it's just a very funny movie. I recommend that you watch it. The message here is mentally we need a break. We need to not be so serious all the time. We need to remember what our joy is. We need to remember what we're grateful for. We need to laugh. We need to play. And it's okay. Why? Because we are human beings, not human doings. So let's talk about some of those resources. We've talked about edgarcasey.org. Now, if you go to edgarcasey.org/online, you're going to find free content for pay content, free classes for pay content, live streaming, and new online webinars. Now, hint, take a screenshot so you have this. I mean, if you've bought this, you will have this forever, but why have to go through the video again unless you want to see me, which I wouldn't mind. But you can just take a screenshot. Now, on edgarcasey.org, under the title Edgar Cayce, you know how they have tabs at the top? They have a link to the library. They have the Edgar Cayce Reflection Show, which is a TV show with our beloved Peter Woodbury doing interviews with people. And then there's Edgar Cayce TV, which is YouTube. Also under this tag, and these are all links, if you go to the website, edgarcasey.org, you'll see the Edgar Cayce click, tab, and this is the drop down. They have the blog. There's the resources that are available to you, and a lot of them are free. It's amazing. And then you have the study groups, Search for God study group, online, also on Facebook. Prayer services. Are you feeling like you could use a prayer? They'll do it for you. Those glad helpers will pray for anybody. They'll even pray for you. It's okay to ask for yourself. And then they have mobile apps where they send you different thoughts, and I don't know if they still have it, but I think they do. There's a one on dreams with dream symbols. And then there's the all-important donate button, because as you know, we're closed to the public right now. And so that means no money's coming in, except for through people like you that are buying some of these online programs. But if you feel like you can do it, there's a donate button, so now you know. No excuse, you know where to find it. I hope that this series, we've done 3 of these, this is the last of them that I know of, at least for now. I hope that these series have brought you some calm